What's going on, guys? It is Masai Andrews here, and today I'm going to show you guys how you can use ChatGPT to build custom GPTs, custom AI agents, essentially that can do work for your law firm. Obviously, obviously AI is a great technology, but the amount of value you can get out of it is going to be really limited if you can't connect it into your software stack. It won't have the knowledge that it needs from your platforms to be relevant, and then it also won't be able to take actual action that will make your life easier. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. If you don't know who I am, my name is Masai Andrews, and I run an agency that helps small law firms to build out different AI automations and agents, just like the one I'm about to show you. So let's get right into it. So when we come to chatgpt.com, we see the screen that everyone's familiar with, where you can sort of have your chat conversations. But when you come over here to the left-hand side, if you open the sidebar, you'll see a section here for GPTs. And then what you can do from here is create your own custom agent that does a very specific thing. So what I'm going to show you how to do now is create a document review agent where we can put PDFs in here and tell it the type of document review we want it to do, and then output that document review into a structured Google Sheet, right? So we have this PDF here. What I'm going to do is drop this PDF into the document review agent, and then I'll tell it to please review this PDF and send the output to a Google Sheet. So ask me to sign into my Google account. It will go ahead and connect my account, and then we'll ask for my permission to send that data over to the Google Sheet. And then we can come into the Google Sheet and see that the document was added to the Google Sheet. So what I'm going to show you guys how to do is how to come into ChatGPT and build these out from scratch. Because if you already have ChatGPT, if you're using the business plan in your law firm, it only makes sense for you to get the absolute most out of this platform. So let's go into how to actually build this out from scratch. Okay, so what I'm going to show you in this video is how to build out these GPTs from scratch and how to connect them into the software platforms that you're already using. So basically, when you come to chatgpt.com, you'll see a screen like this where you have the chat box here, you can ask questions in here. In order to be able to build out these custom GPTs that we're going to make, you're going to need a pro subscription or a business subscription. Probably if you're a law firm, if you're more than one attorney, if you have a team, you're probably going to want to look at the business subscription. So assuming that you have either a pro plan or a business plan, what you can do is come over here to the sidebar on the left-hand side, open the sidebar, and then you'll have this GPTs section here. So GPTs allows us to create custom versions of ChatGPT that can do specific actions for us and that are experts in specific areas of knowledge. And so what we're going to do in order to create this GPT is we're going to come into the Explore GPT section, and we're going to click Create for the GPT. So now we're already here at the configuration screen where we can actually create our GPT. Now, there's a few different sections here. So we have the name, obviously, where you can name the GPT, a short description of the GPT that the users of the GPT will see. Then we have instructions here, which allows us to basically set a system prompt for our GPT, which are just a series of instructions that tell our GPT how we want it to act. You can also add a photo up here for the GPT if you want. And then you have some conversation starters, which will just get the user started with the conversations that they can have with the GPT. You have knowledge here where you can upload files to make your GPT an expert on certain specific areas of knowledge and information. So you can upload files here and include those files in the knowledge base for the GPT. You can recommend a model that you want the users to use with your GPT. You have capabilities here which allow it to search the web, allow it to use the Canvas feature, and allow it to generate images as well as to run and interpret code. And then the bottom section, which we're going to be spending the most time on, are the actions. And actions basically allow us to connect our GPTs into other platforms using APIs. And that's how your GPTs are going to be really useful for you when they can fetch information from the different technology platforms you're using, from the different software you're using, and when they can actually do or take action within those different software platforms. So I won't bore you too much with the name and the description. What I'll do with this is I'll just copy the name and description that I have in my document review agent. So I'll copy this over, paste it here, and I will copy the description over as well and paste it here. These things are more so for the user than it is for the actual agent. So it just makes sure that we have a clear name for what the agent is, and then a short description saying essentially what the agent does. Now for the instructions, I'm going to copy these instructions over, but I'm going to walk you through them and what they mean and how to build your own set of instructions, because this is probably the most important part of, or one of the most important parts, the instructions along with the tools that we give to the GPT. These are going to be the two most important aspects of creating our GPT. And so what we have here is a prompt written out in Markdown format where we're explaining essentially what we need the GPT to do here. So we're giving it a role. We're telling it what it needs or who it is, basically, a legal document review assistant. We're telling it what tasks make up that role. Then from here, we're telling it about the tool that we're going to give it. So shortly, you're going to see how we can actually incorporate a tool that's going to allow it to edit a Google Sheet. And what this section here is doing is just giving it some key information about how to use that tool. So making sure that we are actually writing to the correct sheet with the correct sheet name, and then telling it not to take any actions outside of what we tell it to do. Then from here, this is basically what would be called the task section of the prompt, where we're telling it what to do when we give it the actual task that it's going to do. And so we're telling it for these PDFs, go through and review the following information and extract that information. Then from here, we're going down and we're defining the way that it needs to structure its request to the tool so that it can actually send that data off to the tool in the correct format. So we're doing a little bit of this here. And then from here, we have some rules. Don't provide legal advice. Don't guess at missing information. And only add one row, for example, to the document sheet. And some instructions here governing output behavior. This entire prompt, or this entire system prompt, will be available for you guys in the description of this video. So you can just copy and paste this into your own GPT if you want to get started with it. Obviously, you can also use AI to help you write your system prompts as well. So this is a basic system prompt that we're going to use in the instruction section. Go ahead and close this. Conversation starters. We're going to leave this empty for now. I can show you what it looks like. When we go, for example, and say hello there, we now have this conversation starter. And if somebody comes into our GPT and clicks the conversation starter, then they won't have to come up with their own query, right? It would just automatically go to the GPT, for example. But we won't really need conversation starters for this use case. Knowledge is just about uploading files into our GPT so that it can reference those files. And as a knowledge base, basically, of things that it knows. So if I want to upload, for example, if you wanted to make this GPT specifically for estate planning in New Jersey, for example, you could upload estate planning documents or estate planning laws here in this knowledge section, and then that GPT would be grounded in those truths. And so you can have that knowledge section here available for that GPT to use and upload PDFs or Google Word documents or Microsoft Word documents for your GPT to reference in terms of its source of truth. Recommended model here, again, not the most important thing, but it just allows you to set essentially your recommendation for what the user should use as the model in this GPT. They'll still be able to change it, but you can recommend a model to use for your GPT. I would personally just recommend using the most recent model, but you can, if for any reason, maybe you have a tool call that only works with a specific type of GPT or a specific version of GPT, and you only want to use that, then potentially you can set a recommended model. Otherwise, I would say you don't need it. Now we have some capabilities here. We're going to allow our GPT to search the web. If you didn't want it to search the web, you could always turn that off. The canvas feature is going to allow it to create and edit documents. Image generation obviously lets it create images. We don't really need that here, so we can check that off. Code interpret allows it to interpret and run code, basically. So these are capabilities that you can choose. You can select or deselect, completely up to you. It doesn't make a huge difference in your GPT, but if you do know that you want any of these capabilities in your GPT, then you can go ahead and add them here. Now, the last part, which this is the most important part, is the action. And so when we come into the action section, we're going to have to create an action here. And what this action is going to do is it's going to give our GPT a tool that allows it to take actions on another platform, right? So what I'll do is I'll copy over a schema. So I'll come to my document review agent that's working that you guys have seen in the demo. I'll come to the action section and I'll just copy over the schema. I'll copy and paste that schema here. And now with schemas like these, It's fairly easy to build these out. You can just go into ChatGPT and ask it to help you write a schema. I'll even give you guys a quick demonstration now. Help me write an open AI schema for the weather API. And so with a simple prompt like this, then ChatGPT will come and actually write out the schema for you that you'll be able to just copy and paste. And if you have any issues with this, my recommendation would probably be to just be a little bit more specific with your prompt and let it know that you're building a custom GPT. And also, the other thing you can do is, worst case scenario, you can always go to Claude, right? Because Claude's a little bit better at writing code than ChatGPT is. And that will usually give you the output that you need. But for this specific schema, if you guys want to build out the exact same thing I'm building here, you can find that schema in the description of this video. So we have the entire schema here. One thing, when you get the schema, you're going to have to change the ID of the spreadsheet. So a couple of things you're going to have to change. One, I'm going to show you how to do authentication. Two, I'm going to show you where to put the spreadsheet ID. So let's go through authentication stuff first. Obviously, this is a tool that's accessing an outside platform. And so because our Google platform is going to be protected by some form of either OAuth, authentication, or an API key, we need to include that authentication so that we can actually reach our Google sheet that we want our agent to be able to change. And so in order to do that, we're going to go to console.cloud.google.com. Now, if you've never done this before, you will have to create a new project. So you'll be prompted to create a new project and set that whole thing up. And then you're going to enter into that project. So I'm here in my project, but when you start building out using the Google Cloud Console for the first time, you have to create a project. Once you've created that project, you want to come into the search bar and then search for the Google Sheet API, Google Sheets. Search for this. And you're going to select this first one, the Google Sheets API here. Then we just want to make sure that's enabled. Mine's already enabled, but here you will see the blue button will say enabled for you. You want to go ahead and turn that on. Then from here, we're going to have to get our credential. So what you will do is open this hamburger menu over here in the top left. You'll come down to APIs and services, and you'll come over to credentials. Probably you will have to first configure your OAuth consent screen before you can actually create your credential. So come over to the OAuth consent screen. You'll just have to come in and fill this out. So you're going to have a web application here, and you want to just go through and take the steps and input your email and all the stuff that it asks you for, and then fill out the OAuth consent screen. Once you have that screen filled out, then you can come into the credential section, which is here. And then you can create a credential, and we're going to select an OAuth client ID. The application type is going to be a web application. The name is going to be YouTube GPT demo. Authorized JavaScript origins, you can leave blank. And so the redirect URI we're going to get from our GPT. So we're going to come into authentication. We're going to change authentication type from none to OAuth. And then we're going to be filling the client ID and client secret in a second. Now, we haven't completely finished configuration yet, but we're going to need this callback URL here. Once we've changed the credential type to OAuth, we're going to be seeing this callback URL here. We're going to copy that callback URL, go over to the credential that we're creating in Google Cloud Console, paste that in here, go ahead and create our credential. And then from here, we're going to copy our client ID and our client secret into our app in ChatGPT. So we're going to copy that client ID. We'll come into actions. We will paste that into client ID section. We'll paste the client secret in as well. Okay. So we're going to paste in our client ID and our client secret. For the authorization URL, token URL, and the scope, you want to just copy these values that I have here. So just go ahead and copy these URLs. Make sure you copy them exactly as you see them here. The scope as well, and then you're going to go ahead and click save here. And then the last thing, if you want to make this something that's public facing, that's going to be available outside of your account, you're going to need a privacy policy. which is just found at this policies.google.com link. You can go ahead and just copy this URL if you do want to do that. If you do want to make your GPT public, if you don't want to make your GPT public, then you can just leave this blank. Now, that's the OAuth setup. The other thing that you're going to have to do in order for your GPT to be able to access your Google Sheet is that you're going to need the ID of your Google Sheet. So obviously, this ID here, if we're looking at the path here, we're hitting the Spreadsheets API and we're using the ID of my sheet to hit that sheet. Obviously, me and you won't have the same sheet ID values. So if I come into the sheet here, my sheet ID is everything to the left of the slash after this lowercase d here. So this entire thing here is my ID. What you want to do is copy that. Obviously, it's after the first slash and before the second slash. You want to copy that. You want to come into your schema here, and then right after the spreadsheet slash, you want to make sure you're copying and pasting that same value right here so that it's going to hit the correct spreadsheet ID for you. Now, once that's all set up, we should be able to come out here. We have our tool set up with the action. We have our prompt set up here as well. I can go ahead and create this GPT. I will set it to only me being able to use this GPT. I'll go ahead and view the GPT. And then we'll test it here. So I have obviously one row right now in my sheet. And what I'll do is probably just use the same PDF here to test this GPT and make sure it's connected. Let's see. Drop this in here, analyze this document, and pass it into the spreadsheet. And so now it'll ask me to sign in again to my Google account. And so now I've signed into my account. I've connected that account into this tool. I can confirm this tool here. And then that should now be added into my Google Sheet. So if I go and check it, I'll see again another row here that's been added to this Google Sheet, right? So that's how you basically connect any tool that you want into ChatGPT and build out these custom GPTs that can perform actions in other platforms. One thing you want to be careful of is you want to just make sure that the callback URL that you have here is matching the redirect URI that you have in your credential. You want to make sure that those are matching. So this redirect URI value, you want to make sure you actually have the correct value from your GPT here, because that may cause you some issues. But that's basically it. So that's how you go through and pretty simply add tools that can connect to any outside platform in your GPTs. You can connect this to basically any platform that has an open API, and you can get all the features of ChatGPT plus the ability to take actions in outside platforms. And so this is a major step towards getting AI to actually be useful for you. All the schemas and prompts and all that stuff will be in the description of this video for free. As always, all of the schemas and prompts that you see in this video, you can find in the description. So if you want to just copy and paste exactly what I did and do it on your own end, on your ChatGPT account, you can go ahead and just copy the schemas and the prompts are in the description. This is the fastest way to get up and running with AI agents in 2026. It doesn't require you to go super in depth and extreme details of development. You just need to know how to build these schemas out and how to use these tools. So you can be creative and think about how you want to connect ChatGPT into these different, whatever platforms that you need to access or need to give it access to, then you can basically build out any sort of integrations that you want to build right there natively in the ChatGPT that you're used to using, right? And if you're going to pay for ChatGPT on a monthly basis, you might as well get the most out of it. If you are a boutique law firm and you need help building out systems like these, agents, automations, anything in the AI realm, there is a link you can click on in the description to book a call in, and I can see how I can help you out if you want to. And that's pretty much everything for this video. So thank you guys a lot. Like the video if you liked it. Leave a comment. Let me know what else you want to see. If you want to see integrations into different LLMs like Claude and Gemini and that kind of stuff. And subscribe so you don't miss any videos like these. Thank you guys a ton for watching. Have a fantastic day.